Okay. Please, if you don't have your devices, not a big deal. Okay. You can go back and watch this, at some point in the future. I am recording it. There was an issue with last week's recording, so I'm going to have to make another shorter recording of the information I covered. But it wasn't anything very technical. It was mostly policy and stuff. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about a couple of reminders. I'll just remind you about device pickup, and then we're going to talk about creating your Apple ID and signing into your Apple ID. Okay. First thing, as I had mentioned, previous Tuesday texts are available, the slide decks. This slide deck is available, and I'll get a recording of this up in the next day or so. And also, hopefully, the one from last week, I'll just go through and make a recording of just some of the things I talked about, not so much the reminders and the agenda and all that. Okay. So just a couple of reminders. Tech support, we've talked about how to get tech support, helpdesk@burncatholic.org. And I would think probably next week when the office hours change, we will be able to extend our time a little bit. But as of right now, we're keeping it the way it is because we are also at school distributing devices. I know we've got some of my team is there now. Just a reminder about ID cards. Please, if you haven't taken that picture, we're going to print ID cards this week. So we want to start getting, ID cards ready for the first day of school. So if you have not sent us a picture yet, please, please, please do that. Please do that tomorrow. Okay. It's really important because we want to print them all in one shot. We're going to configure them all, get everything ready. So it's really important you get those pictures in. Reminders for device pickup. Device pickup is this week and next week. And again, for those of you that have done this already, I think it's worked really well. You park in the front semicircle and call the IT office. If you are dropping off personal devices, please make sure you do that so we can get them available for you. If you're using a device that's not owned by Bergen Catholic or you've not purchased a Bergen Catholic, and please, when you're picking up devices, even though you're in the parking lot, please wear a mask. That is really important. Okay. Some of you have asked about credentials, and your laptop has a password. On your Power School, where it says network printing ID and network printing password, those are the credentials that also get onto your laptop. Okay, so please make a note of that. This was sent to you. I sent it out probably in June, but you can get at your at any time. You can get access to your Power School, and you'll see it here under network ID and network password. Those are the exact same credentials to get on your laptop. Okay. Okay. So tonight I want to talk about the steps for creating an Apple ID. Okay. I need to begin by saying that I need you to use your Bergen Catholic email address to create your Apple ID. Okay. I do not want you to use a personal one. Now, I understand you might already have one and you have your phone and other devices linked to it. We would like you to use your Bergen Catholic email so we keep your home devices and your school devices separate. Right? So it is really important that when you create, when you go through these steps and it asks you for an email address for your Apple ID, you are using your Bergen Catholic email address. Okay? You should all have an email address. By now, you should have accessed it, first initial, last name, and 24 at bergencatholichs.org. Okay, and you access that via Gmail. All right. So I'm going to talk. I'll walk through the steps of the Apple ID process and signing in with your devices. Again, you can go back and watch this. If you have a question, Mr. Patton is lurking in the chat room, and he will be able to answer questions. And again, helpdesk@bergencatholic.org if you have any specific questions. Okay. So there's a number of different ways you can create your Bergen Catholic Apple ID. Probably one of the easiest things to do is to do it on the web and then sign into your device and then complete the process there. Okay. So if you are from any browser, okay, the website is appleid.apple.com. Okay? Now, again, you could do this from your phone. You could, I prefer you do it from a device that is not linked to a personal Apple ID. Okay, so it's appleid.apple.com. And once you go to that website, it's going to, on the top right-hand corner, give you an option to click create your Apple ID. Okay. Now, you may have done this already. Okay. Some of you, if you are savvy and got your devices ready, you may have done that. That's fine. If you haven't done it, that's fine. If you don't do it tonight, that's fine. Okay. We've got plenty of time. Ideally, when you come in on the 9th for orientation, I'd like this to be done, to be ready. Okay. Just because the biggest thing is, God forbid you lose your device, we want to make sure that we're able to find it. Okay. So you're using your BC email address. You're going to fill out all the information that is asked of you from Apple. First name, last name, birthday, your email address. You're going to choose a password, choose a strong password, and all the other information it asks of you. Okay, and then you'll just follow the system prompts. You'll follow the prompts to put in information. It's going to send you a, nope, not yet. It'll probably send you a email confirmation to confirm the email address. So go into your Bergen Catholic email and set up, confirm that that's the email address you want to use. Okay. So this is the first part. Okay. Now, certainly, again, you could do it on your MacBook or your iPhone and combine the two. I generally find it easier to do it off the website, just because it's a little bit more seamless, I found. And if you don't have your device yet, it's easier as well. Okay, and Apple, if you are putting in you're going to have to put in a phone number to verify, which could be a cell phone, could be mom or dad's cell phone. I believe it'll call you, so it could be a home number too. It could be a home number that it's just to verify that you are who you are. And it will tie that phone number to your Apple ID. Okay. So this will be the first piece. Okay. Once you get this information in, then we're going to sign in and just complete the process. Okay. Please don't forget what your password is. Whatever you make your password, Apple has password requirements that are independent of me. Okay. Please make sure you put those, either write it down someplace safe or put it someplace safe. So you have it. Because you will hopefully not need to sign on that often with your Apple ID, but certainly if you misplace your device, we want to make sure that we can find it. Okay. Also, if we have to download software or anything like that, you want to have that password. Okay. So that's the first part. Right. And again, I'll go back and go through the steps again a little faster when I'm done. But you can also, we are recording this and I will get this up, I promise. We'll probably put it up raw. I won't put an introduction or anything, just so we can get it up on BCTV's YouTube page, right? Once you've created that part, you've done that on the web, right? Make sure you have your password. You know what your password is. You're going to open iTunes. Actually, it's music now on your MacBook, and you're going to sign in with those credentials. Okay, so under account, it asks you to sign in. So you're going to put in your Apple ID, which you just created, which in this case, your Apple ID is your Bergen Catholic email address and whatever password you assigned. Okay. And then it's going to ask you to probably verify again. It's the first time signing in. So whatever phone number you put in, it's going to send you a verification code. Okay. And once you verify, it's going to ask you, it's going to tell you this Apple ID has not been used with the iTunes store. You're going to review your account information. You are using your Bergen Catholic email address for the specific ID, and your laptop password is on PowerSchool under network or printing password. And that is on PowerSchool. Okay, so you've signed into Music, you've verified you are who you say you are. You're going to have to then review some of the pieces of your account. And again, it's not difficult. Once you verify, once you click on review, it's going to say, it's going to ask you to complete your Apple ID. So you'll see your email address, your Bergen email address, right? And you have to click the box that says by clicking continue, you acknowledge the terms and conditions for Apple. You don't have a choice. All right, then it's going to ask you for purchase information, a billing address. Okay, you do not need to select or provide a payment method. Okay, you can click none, which is the last option on the right. Okay, you do not, if you want to, if you feel that you want to have, if you're going to use your school Apple ID to purchase things, by all means, okay? But you do not need it, okay? Because software, we can push software out to you if you need it. The billing address will be the billing address that would generally be your home address. It would be your billing address for whatever credit card you're going to use, but if it's none, it would still be generally your home address, and you have to provide a phone number as well. And this is Apple. This is not Bergen collecting this information. This is Apple. We do not want you to change the password on your Mac. We want you to leave it as numbers. If you change it and you can't get into your laptop, you run the risk of losing all your data because we do not do data recovery. So we know what your password is, but if you change it, you could be in a heap of trouble if you don't know what your password is. Okay, so complete your Apple ID, put in your address, click on continue on the bottom right, and then you'll get a message that looks like this, that you can use all Apple services that you finished setting up your Apple ID. Okay? Not difficult, not pretty straightforward. Okay? I'll go back and I'll just review the second part. I'll review both parts. So you've gone to appleid.apple.com. You've created your Apple ID, okay? Because you don't have one with your Bergen email address. So you're creating your Apple ID. You'll fill in the information that Apple asks you. Click continue. You'll have to verify your account. Okay. Once you've done that, once you've verified, you're going to open Music, sign in with your Apple ID. This is on your MacBook. If you have it. If you don't, you just won't complete this step until you get your devices. No big deal. Sign in with your Apple ID into Music, which is what used to be the iTunes store. It'll then ask you for a verification code. It'll text or call the number that you put in for your account. And then we'll say this Apple ID has not yet been used with the iTunes store. You'll review your account information. So click on review. It'll tell you to complete your Apple ID, and it'll show you what your email address is, which is your Bergen Catholic email address. You'll be then asked to provide a payment method, which you can choose none. You do not need to put in a payment method. Choose none, but you do need to provide a billing address, which is your home address. Once you put in that information and click continue, you'll see a message that says that your Apple ID can now be used to access all Apple services. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, the last piece is going to be signing into the MacBook and then the iPad with that Apple ID. So again, make sure you have somewhere you've saved your password so you know what it is. If you click on the Apple on the top left-hand corner and click on System Preferences, in the third row, you'll see an iCloud icon. Click on that, and you will be prompted to enter your ID and password. Okay. Once you sign in with your Apple ID and password, you'll be prompted for a couple of different pieces of options. The main one that's important is the one that's Find My Mac. Okay. You want to set that up so that if your MacBook is ever misplaced, you can, and as long as it's connected to a wireless network, you can find where it is. Okay. That's really important. So we want to do that for our MacBooks. And we're going to do the same thing for your iPad. So on the iPad, it's under Settings. And then under where it says Sign into your iPad, you tap on that. And then you'll be asked for your Apple ID and password. Same thing. Put in your Apple ID and password. And then make sure you enable Find My iPad. Same thing. I generally find iPads seem to disappear more frequently than MacBooks. I shouldn't say disappear. They generally seem to get lost more frequently. Right? Because it's plugged in, it's charging, you forget that you're charging it, so forth. Okay? So again, once you've finished those steps and you've verified and completed the setup of your Apple ID, you go into your MacBook. You'll click on the Apple on the top left and go to System Preferences and click on iCloud. You'll then put in your Apple ID and password and click Next. And then make sure you enable Find My Mac. That's important. Check your spam folder. If you're not getting the email verification, look in your spam folder and see if it ended up in your spam folder. And make sure you've typed it in correctly with the Bergen Catholic HS at the end. And then after you finish your MacBook, you're going to sign in with your Apple ID to your iPad. You'll tap Settings and then sign into your iPad. You'll provide your Apple ID and password. And then make sure Find My iPad is enabled. Okay? It's pretty straightforward. Okay? And just looking at the chat, if you have not gotten a verification email, make sure that you've typed your email correctly. Make sure that it's your first initial, full last name, 24 at bergencatholichs.org. And there's an option that Apple, you can send the verification again if you didn't get it the first time. You can only enable Find My iPad, correct, when you have the physical iPad. Yes, that is correct. Right? But again, it shouldn't take you longer than a minute. Once you have your Apple ID, you'll sign in and make sure Find My iPad is enabled. And to check this, to make sure you've done it right, if you go to iCloud.com and you sign in with your Bergen Catholic Apple ID, you should be able to see your devices. As long as they are both connected to a wireless network, you should be able to see them. They'll come up on the map with their location. And make sure it'll ask you and make sure you have location services enabled. Well, you'll be prompted for that. Okay. So this is just a recap of the 4 things that you need to do. Okay. Create your Apple ID. And I've also given you a link here to Apple's steps So if you want to do it, if you want to combine the first two parts and do it from your iPad or from your MacBook, that's fine. So you're going to create your Apple ID. You're then going to sign into iTunes, which is really music, on your MacBook and complete the Apple ID creation process. You will then sign into your Apple ID on your MacBook and enable Find My Mac, and sign into your Apple ID on your iPad and enable Find My iPad. Okay? These are the important steps that need to be done. Right? And again, it doesn't have to be tonight. If you're picking up your devices tomorrow, Thursday, we went through this in about 20 minutes. Okay? It's not going to take, it might take you 20 minutes. It probably is not going to even take you that long. Okay? You need to be able to access your Bergen Catholic email. Okay? Have your devices in front of you and just walk through the steps. Okay? If you get lost, there's a whole host of resources on Apple's website, on the support website, if you need more in-depth steps than what I'm showing you here. Okay? But the main thing is you're using your Bergen Catholic Apple ID. Okay? We do not want you to use a personal Apple ID. Dropping off personal devices could be any of the times that you can pick up. I will put that back up on my screen. The phone number is on my slide, which I will pull up right now. It's 201-634-2210. When you arrive, just tell whoever's answering the phone that you are here for to drop off a personal device. They will ask you for an email address and a phone number to get back to you once the machine is done. Okay. Generally, we don't do them in the same day because generally my team is working on distribution. We'll see how quickly we can turn them around. Okay. Incoming mail server and outgoing, I am assuming you are setting up. I'm assuming you are setting up your Bergen email in an email client like Outlook or Mail. It's imap.gmail.com and smtp.gmail.com. If you Google G Suite or Google Apps for Education, Google email settings, you'll be able to find them in the ports. I don't have them in front of me, but as long as you Google that, you'll find the information. But it should be imap.gmail.com and smtp.gmail.com. Okay. Blackboard should, if you're having an issue with Blackboard, reach out to the help desk. We had set up, we changed some of our synchronization processes, which I thought got rectified on Monday. If for some reason you're still having issues, reach out to the help desk and someone will get back to you and walk you through any steps you may need. Make sure for Blackboard that you're at bergencatholic.blackboard.com. And again, the password for your Mac is on PowerSchool under Network ID and Network Password. It's the same thing. Okay. I'm going to just leave I'll leave the chat open if anybody has questions. I don't have any more content per se to go through, but certainly if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to entertain them. Just want to see what my last slide was. I don't think I had anything else after this. And the slide deck is already up on that tiny URL. Yeah, the last Tuesday Tech was going to be in 2 weeks. We're not going to do one next week. We want everybody to have their devices. Yes, there are no classes yet in Blackboard. That's correct. Blackboard will be populated as soon as schedules come out, which could be this week. That'll be prefaced with an email. But Blackboard will be populated after PowerSchool is populated. So our last Tuesday Tech will be on September 1st, which is kind of hard to believe that it's September already. It'll be accessing your e-textbooks. So by then, ideally, you will have your devices. You'll be picked up. And for that, you're going to need your iPad. Okay. The link for the Tuesday tech from last week, I'm going to re-record either tonight or tomorrow. Just some of the narrative of what I talked about. The slide deck is up there already, but I don't have a link yet because I had an issue with the recording. So I will try and get that. I will try and get something up either tonight or tomorrow with just the overview of what I talked about. If your name is spelled wrong on your Mac, you want to email Mr. Patton directly. Don't even bypass the help desk for that one. Passwords for Blackboard or on PowerSchool. It's the same as the password for your laptop. For iMessage on our iPad, you use your Bergen Catholic Apple ID. Issues with Blackboard can be directed to the help desk. When can we pick up Apple? No, Apple, the pickup and drop off are the same times. I will put that slide back up. These are the pickup. It's really the pickup and drop off. Okay. If you have to drop off on 4 to 8, it's okay. Certainly, we won't be working on. Generally, we won't be working on machines when we get them. We'll probably do them all in one sitting, and then we will be in touch with you to pick those devices back up. The first slide. This is the first slide. I'm not sure what we're looking for. That's agenda, I guess, maybe for that tiny URL link. And then I'll put up the Find My Mac in a second. The Find My Mac is you're going to sign in, create the Apple ID. This one. When you sign into the Find My Mac, and I'll put it up in a second, you're going to click on the Apple on your MacBook on the top left-hand corner, go to System Preferences. Once System Preferences open, you'll click on iCloud. And then once you click on iCloud, you'll be asked for your ID and password, your Apple ID and password, put them in. And then you're going to make sure that you enable Find My Mac, which you'll see under iCloud. Okay. Pretty straightforward. You will get your school ID cards when you come for orientation. Okay, we'll have them separated by homeroom. They'll already be attached to the lanyard. They'll be ready to go. It's important that on that first day, and you'll hear a lot more about first day from Mr. McElhenney. But from my standpoint for technology, make sure you leave with your ID card. Okay. When we prep the ID cards, we prep them by homeroom. So if you have a schedule change after we sort the ID cards, your ID card may not be with your homeroom, might be someplace else. Okay. So we'll get it for you, but we want to make sure that we'll get them out early enough in the day so that if you don't have it, we can track it down for you. Any other questions that I can answer? I know Mr. Patton is floating around. Certainly, help desk is your first place to go, except for the one person that I forget who I'd said to go see Mr. Patton directly. Oh, the spelling on your Mac. Password for Apple ID, you can make up. You're making up your own, whatever you want. It has to meet Apple standards. But again, I won't have access to it, so you need to remember it, okay? Or make sure that you have you put in a cell phone and a recovery email so you can get back. You can get that data back if you need to. All right. And again, our last Tuesday Tech will be on September 1st. Mr. Powers and I will be going over eText. I shouldn't say that. Mr. Powers is going to be going over eText because that is his thing, and he will walk you through signing on. Software updates you can run. Generally, as a general rule of thumb, I wouldn't right now. I think we put whatever latest, it would have been the latest OS as of probably about a month ago. So as updates come out, you can install them. Major updates like going from 11 to 12 or something like that, I generally like to wait a little bit till that first service pack comes out, till they fix all the initial bugs, right? But generally, if there's something that we don't think is safe, we'll certainly tell you. But for the most part, software updates are fine. I'm going to go back to what I said last week. Your school devices are your school devices, okay? You really need to keep your school and personal stuff separate, okay? The Technology Support Center exists to help you with issues you might be having with your device, okay? It's very tough when, my team is taking hours to re-image devices because they are loaded with spyware, malware, ransomware, anything, okay? So yes, can you download software? You can, okay? But that is you do so at your own risk, right? We don't check your laptops every day, okay? We filter your internet traffic, so when you're on our network, we know where you're going, okay? But if you download something on your laptop and it causes your laptop not to function, we will just re-image your laptop. We will not attempt to try and save your data. We just re-image your laptop, especially if you're downloading something that you shouldn't be, okay? The phone number you should use, ideally if you have a personal cell phone. If not, check with mom or dad for either their cell phone or your home number, okay? Any other questions that you have for me? I missed the information about finishing making your Apple ID, but I was involved with iTunes. Yes, when you sign into the games question is easy. No. Use that on your personal devices. Use it on your phones, not on your school devices. Okay? Because when you're in school, we filter all your internet traffic. Okay? So it's not like, some of the stuff is going to work anyway. So, and, for what it's worth, any means, if you try to circumvent the school network in any way, that's just as bad as you'll pay the same penalty as if you had installed something else. Where do you store your data? Google Drive. We had talked about that last week, and you have that Google Drive account that you can use to store data. Okay, so when you open music on your MacBook or iTunes, sign in. You'll sign in with your Apple ID and password. You'll have to verify your sign-in and then click on review. You'll complete your Apple ID, confirm that that's the Apple ID you're going to complete. Put in your payment information. Right. A specific problem, if you're having trouble creating an Apple ID, you can go back and try it later. I don't know why that's an Apple thing. If you're still having an issue tomorrow, reach out to the help desk. Completing your Apple ID, push none for your payment method, put in your billing address, and then you'll be done. So that was Calvin's question. Okay. I can send the slides actually, if you go to that tiny URL, I've already linked the slide deck. So if you go to this tiny URL, BC Tuesday Tech, you'll be able to get the link to the slides. And I'll put up the recording, like I said, either later tonight or tomorrow. That'll be on our BC TV YouTube page. Okay. Any other questions that I can answer? Well, folks, that is the end of what we have for tonight. And again, we will be meeting again in 2 weeks for our last Tuesday Tech for e-textbooks. Thank you for joining us tonight. And again, any specific questions that you may have, please address to the help desk. If you haven't picked up your devices yet, please make sure you get that done sooner rather than later. And I'll get this video up as well as a bridged version of last week's just as soon as I can. So with that, I thank you all for coming, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night, everyone.